Hi, everyone. I think we're live. Yes, good, good, good. Hope everybody's doing all right. Welcome to Make the Most of Marriage, MMM. We're lovely to have you guys back, many of you, and hopefully there's some new people this evening as well. Usually we allow, actually, we've already had a few minutes over here, so I think we can get started right away. So again, welcome everybody. Yeah, my name is Daniel Lindström. If you haven't met me before or seen me before, I am Swedish American, second gen, living in London with my English South African wife and 3 kids, and a part of the MMM team since we started it now. I don't know, 20. I think it's 20 months ago. We run quite a few events by now. And yeah, and I can see many faces I've seen before as well. So we're loving to have a lot of you back on MMM for this month. We have a super couple this evening, which I will present soon, and a lovely program for you this evening. So yes, so there's always some new people, so we always have to go through a few practical things before we start. And great. So yeah, so before we kickstart, I'm just going to ask Patrizia from the MMM team to give a short prayer to kick off the evening.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Thank you. Please join me in prayer. Dear Emily parents, dear true parents of heaven and earth and humankind, we are here together as MMM tonight, as a group of people that really want to please you in many, many different ways, and especially as husband and wife. And we really wanted to greet you as a couple and to welcome you into this beautiful event that we are going to have tonight, talking about love, talking about couples' needs and how to invest in our relationship, in our marriage, in our holy blessing. It's such a privilege to be blessed couple, and it's such a privilege to have somebody close to us that we can invest in. And we can really give our best every day and think about another person and care for this person and care for a family. So we really wanted to become the children that you really wish since the very beginning. So we want to welcome you tonight as brothers and sisters, and we want to center our love in you. And we also want to really, really welcome the beautiful couple that is going to talk tonight about love language, how to really appreciate each other, how to find out the way that we are unique in expressing our characteristics and our love. So we want to invite you again as our main guest. Please bless this evening and be part of this program. And I pray all these things in the name of all brothers and sisters here, and in my name, Patrizia Cashbaum-Meyer, bless Center family. Aju.
Aju. Thank you so much.
That's for you.
Fantastic. So great. So yeah, going into what MMM is. So Make the Most of Marriage was sort of created by the Blessed Family Department. Orlande kickstarted it, and so she set up this committee, which has been sort of the same sort of committee from the start. And the aim of MMM is to create a thriving community of blessed couples using online mediums. And specifically, obviously, what we've been launching with and what we've been doing up until this point is a monthly event to support this aim. And we actually, yeah, it was sort of, we launched even before coronavirus. So I always think this is a good, we were already prepared. We were already set up. So we've perfectly corona proof, and also we've been able to run MMM all throughout. So just to go through the committee, the group, the working group or committee, just really briefly. So from left to right, we have Abigail and Victor, and then we have Andy and Francesca. That's me, my family there, and then we have Patrizia with support of her husband Frank, and of course Orlande, which has sort of set up the group and obviously working. We're always consulting with her, and she's supporting our group. Fantastic. And yes, and just really quickly, briefly, for the people who haven't been here, the brief sort of structure of the evening is obviously in a moment I'm going to present our speakers that are going to give a little 20, 25-minute talk about this evening's topic. Then we're going to have a Q&A with the speaker, and then after that we'll have a short 5-minute break, and then we'll go into discussion groups, basically, which will be about 30 minutes. And then after that we come back, we maybe share a little bit from the groups, have some more Q&A, and sort of there'll be an end note from the speakers, and maybe some homework or something that you can do at home to continue working on your marriage after the event as well. So yes, I think that was it. I think that went pretty smooth, very quick. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. So so this evening we have the McCann couple, Alan and Doris, who's here with us, and who's a couple it's a first-gen couple based in Ireland, and they have 4 children between 17 and 24, three boys, 1 girl, and Doris, she is currently the president of the Women's Federation in Ireland, and also works for Apple. And she also founded the Sisters of Faith for Peace, a women's interfaith organization that counts current First Lady Sabina Higgins as patron. I don't actually know who Sabina Higgins is, but I'm sure a lot of other people do. Doris originally is from Germany, and she joined CARP in America in the 90s. Alan, he was born in Ireland and also joined in America in the 1980s, and was one of the sort of main 21-day lecturers over there. He's also sort of set up different second-gen workshops in Ireland, and currently works as a national sales manager for an energy company. So both Alan and Doris are very passionate about the importance of marriage, and wanted to come on to share their experience. And yeah, I will allow them to sort of present tonight's topic. So yeah, I'll send the word over to you guys. Welcome to Make the Most of Marriage. Oh, there we go. How you guys doing?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Alan.
And I'm Doris.
And today we're going to basically our topic is going to be on the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. And I'm sure some of you read the book, and it's a really, really interesting book. And it's about basically this whole idea. He was a counselor with a Christian background for many, many years. And he was counseling people for over 20 years and helping people and marriage couples really develop loving relationships. And what he discovered was actually that people receive love and also give love in different languages, right? And he basically he uses the analogy of, like, if you were speaking French and you express your love in French, but your partner only speaks German, then sometimes there's this miscommunication or this misunderstanding. And then, you try your best to give love, but maybe your partner doesn't receive your love. So what he felt was there's 5 different love languages, and we need to understand our partner's love language. Now, you could have 2 or 3 different languages. Some people, like my wife, she's fluent in all 5 love languages, which is great for me. I mean, I can't go wrong with any language. And the idea is, in a loving relationship, what you want to do, he uses the analogy of a tank. If you're going on a journey with a marriage and your tank is filled with a little bit of petrol, you're not going to get very far. Okay. And what you need, every marriage needs to be filled up with love, right? And that love is communicated through the love languages. And when we learn how to understand each other's love languages, we begin to fill that relationship up. And that gives us the fuel to keep us happy, to keep the fire burning in our relationship, and to really drive us forward so we don't get stuck. And it's really, it's self-explanatory. Obviously, love is an essential part of this relationship. So there's 5 love languages. So let's start off with the first love language, which
would be words of affirmation. So words of affirmation is people with that kind of love language, they value verbal acknowledgement of affection, like, of course, frequent I love you, any kind of appreciation or validation, even texting, social media engagement, but in a verbal way, right, to be validated. Some examples would be, of course, very obvious one in a marriage, but maybe if he would compliment her, wow, you look really beautiful in that dress.
You look beautiful tonight, darling. Absolutely fabulous.
Thank you. Or even just like, oh, I love that color on you, or this is a great top, whatever. I mean, this is just one thing, right? Like, by the way, okay, I would definitely recommend for the husband to notice a new hairstyle, or if you got anything new, right? So especially for people with that kind of love language, that's a big no-no. To not notice she comes home with a new hairstyle and he wouldn't even notice, right? So especially people with that love language, very, very important. Please notice it, right? And compliment your spouse on it. And that's not only for the husband towards the wife, that can go the other way around. Like, I might,
you like my hairstyle? Yeah. I got especially done for tonight.
Right. The hairstyle, or you look I really like that suit on you, or the shoes or whatever. But it doesn't have to be just clothes, like anything, right? It can be
words can be words can be really powerful in a relationship. And it depends. For some people, getting love, getting support, getting words of encouragement and appreciation can be really, really important. And especially as you're getting on in your relationship, there's always a risk, okay, that we take each other for granted. Your wife makes a beautiful dinner. She's been doing that for 20 years. You don't say anything, and you have to be very, very careful. Words of appreciation and acknowledgement and support and encouragement is really, it's fundamental, but it's really, really important. And it's advisable to be kind of, to really be mindful of that and to be sensitive. Now, here's the one of the issues, of course, one of the challenges in a relationship is you can get upset at each other, right? And when you're upset at each other, you're going to be, communicating you're upset, perhaps complaining and stuff. And that's perfectly normal in a relationship. You have to, communicate those feelings, but be very, very careful with the power of words. If your relationship is a lot of criticism and nagging, and that's not healthy. So just be careful, especially if your partner's love language. One of my wife's love languages, but she's all 5, so that's easy, as positive affirmation. So if I'm angry at her and I criticize her, doesn't go down well. It's not my love language. Yeah. If she compliments me, that's fine. If she's not happy about something, that's okay, fine. I'm not as sensitive about that, but it's good that you know each other's love language, and that is a very, very, very sensitive one.
Let me wait. One more example also I was thinking about on that one is it's not just what you say to your spouse directly, but for example, you can compliment your spouse in the presence of his parents or of the children, like it's very important. Like if you say, for example, to the children, gosh, your dad is really great, or just let the children feel, say something positive, about them, even if you talk about him. So that's also part of it, really important.
Right. Now, so that's the first love language, words of affirmation. Second love language?
Second one would be quality time.
Quality time. I mean, quality time is obviously, in terms of within the context of the relationship, is 2 people spending quality time together. I mean, personally, I think that should be everybody's love language. I mean, I don't know how you can have a marriage if you don't spend quality time with each other. And that's really, really important. And I think that, for us both, I'd say that's our primary love language is quality time. Now, we're fortunate, okay? We're fortunate because with quality time, because it's both our love language and we both enjoy it. So if you're a couple and you both have the same love language, that's really great, because typically if it is your love language and you like to receive it, generally you can be very good at it, giving it and receiving it. And of course, two people wanting to spend quality time with each other, that's obviously a positive. But it's really, really important. I think when you start off as a young couple, it's easier when you don't have kids, right? And naturally, you'll spend more time together doing different things, which is really, really great. And my pro tip to young couples who don't have kids, please spend as much time together in quality time, go out to the weekends and do all kinds of different things and go to restaurants and go away on weekend trips, because it's very easy without kids. Once you have children and they come into children, and it becomes much more difficult, and children can be obviously very time consuming. So for young couples out there right now, you should be in coffee shops, restaurants, going away at weekend, really making the most of it. Okay.
By the way, we're talking about undivided attention. We're not talking about sitting in a coffee shop, each on their phone, checking Facebook, talking phones down, and actually talk to each other. Right.
Eye contact.
Yeah.
And another thing is, if you're older couples, sometimes we start taking each other for granted, and we just get into these routines. Okay. And it is never happy. It is always important in a loving relationship, whether you're married 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, that you constantly try to cultivate and keep the fire of interest in the relationship. What Doris and I do, our kids now have got older. Okay, so our kids are a lot older. So therefore we can go to restaurants, but we also book weekends away, go somewhere nice, or sometimes, and you don't have to, by the way, people think, oh, there has to be a special occasion. Gentlemen, you don't have to have a special occasion to take your beautiful wife somewhere nice. Okay. Don't be thinking like that. Also, sometimes it can be a surprise. And listen, sweetie, you look really stressed this weekend. I booked a lovely restaurant. You don't have to tell her where it is. Make it a surprise and then go out. And that's really, really important. Not just for people think young couples, old couples, we just take each other for granted. No, absolutely not. It doesn't matter if you're 30, 40 years married. Keep that romance, keep that mystery in your relationship going, doing different things, spending time together, sharing adventures and qualities. And that is really incredibly powerful in a loving relationship, Yeah,
you really have to, life gets so busy. We're all incredibly busy, right? So, and then especially once kids come into the game, it's like, and it's very, very easy to just get caught up and forget that you're actually husband and wife and just become mommy and daddy forever. So it's really important to to consciously set that time aside, like not just like on the odd occasion, like, oh, a special, okay, I got a surprise in a restaurant or something. That's wonderful, of course, but also really on a regular basis, and make that time and be creative how you can fit it in. I know it's a challenge. We certainly know it's a challenge with young kids, but fit it in, right? Make the time somehow. Like we still have for years, we have this routine every Saturday and sometimes Sundays. The afternoons, we pretty much, they're our time.
And that time is booked off, so we can basically spend time together.
We really try to avoid. It's only very rarely where we schedule anything else, like definitely Saturday afternoons and sometimes Sundays as well, right? Most of the time we go for a walk, a really nice long walk. We switch things up in a park, or sometimes we're lucky enough to live somewhat close to the beach. By the beach, really nice long walks, and where we actually really talk and catch up and bond again. Like we get so busy during the week, everybody's doing their thing, and then it's easy to emotionally kind of drift apart. And then the weekend and that time is where we're coming together again, where we're bonding again, and digesting and processing everything. And I always feel then I'm ready again to go into the next week. Honestly, if we don't do this, I don't feel really ready to start Monday again and have another stressful week. It's for me, I think for both of us, for me, it's really, really important, right? Yeah. And be creative with that as well, right? And then, for example, with young kids, one thing we used to do.
The pro tip with small kids. Now, for years, I think 15 years when we had small kids, listen, we weren't running off to restaurants. We weren't doing this. We weren't doing that. As you know, with kids, you're full time. But every Friday night, every Saturday night, I'd put the kids to bed early, and we'd sit down and we'd do a date night in the house. So we don't have to get babysitters. Simple. Everything, put a candle, make a nice atmosphere, watch some kind of nice movie, and just quality time together, no children. Now, I know it's hard if you've got kids, but you need to, even a young couple with small kids, you've got to put time aside And that helps you develop your relationship, because you're not just a daddy or a mommy, you're also a husband and a wife. And you feel that identity as a husband and wife when you're basically alone as a husband and wife. Because when the kids are around, you're really a daddy and a mommy, okay? And that gives you that sense of cultivating the relationship as a husband and wife, which is really, really important.
And you can, of course, last thing on this one, of course, you can do like, there's great as quality time as a family as well. Like it's, you know, of course, that's equally important, right? But not only, like you can always get creative, even if money or time is tight, but even if you do camping trips or picnic or something with the kids as family quality time, right? You can get creative, but you have to be, it's really important to get equally creative with the couple quality time, right?
Essential, absolutely essential for any loving relationship, no matter how long you've been married. Right, next love language.
That would be gifts.
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 Gifts, right. My wife's language for gifts, she's fluent. She's fluent in all these 5 languages, right? She's fluent in the language of gifts. Where's my level of fluency at with gifts?
Can I not comment?
Practically, maybe I know 2 words. I'm just completely the worst for gifts. I don't speak gift. I just, if it's not practical, I really don't. So my wife's expectations is up here and my ability is down here, which is an interesting scenario with the love languages, right? You can have a discussion later on and your wife's gonna say, well, my love language is this. And you're like, oh, really? I'm not really, I'm way down here. So you have a big disparity. So you can imagine when my wife's birthday comes along, how is that?
Right. Let's move on. There have been challenging birthdays. Yeah. The thing is, like, the person whose love language is gifts, they value the time and the effort and the heart behind the gift, right? It really doesn't matter what it is. It could be a little paper heart cutout just saying I love you, or some little symbol. It doesn't have to cost anything. It can be anything. But the person with that kind of love language, they value the heart behind, and it means more than anything to them, right? That wouldn't go down well with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pragmatist. I'm a pragmatist. I'm really terrible at it. But but what I would say to you as a tip, if you have a couple and your one expectation, see, if you're so fluent in the language of gifts and you're so good at understanding and giving gifts, then your expectations up here too. And if your partner's down there, what you got to do is you got to meet each other. My wife's got to lower expectations and realize, listen, it's not my husband's strongest point, and I've got to up my game. And then hopefully some birthdays we meet in the middle, and I'm kind of making a little bit of effort and she's reducing her expectations, and we're kind of hits in the middle, and I survived the day. No dead bodies.
So yeah, we had some challenging birthdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a classic example where it's really important to figure these things out about yourself, the expectation that you naturally have, and what your spouse likes, and then where your strengths and weaknesses are. That's a classic example, actually. It took us a while. Like, we really had a number of birthdays of mine where I would be really, really disappointed.
So you got to be creative,
right? So you have to understand what you like, what your expectation is, what his language is, and where you're good at and not, and then become aware of it. Awareness is the most important thing, I'd say, first of all, and communicate, talk about it, right? So now we figure this out, and I'm aware of it, so I don't have to be heartbroken.
So what we do is, so what I used to do also sometimes, now that the kids are older and her birthday comes along, so as a birthday gift, we book a weekend away, right?
Because we both love quality time.
So you see that? So suddenly quality time. Win-win. So I speak quality time language fluently, and then I avoid the whole gift. And I said, you know what, sweetie, we'll just book a weekend away. She's happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy.
I told him, by the way, I don't need a whole weekend away every time. Okay, you can just easy.
Yeah, well, I do. I need a weekend away.
Okay, you don't have to, but I'll take it. That's good.
Very humble, isn't she? Right. Next love language.
Right. The fourth one would be acts of services.
So acts of service. Well, it's obviously acts of service is really, for some people, they really feel, they want, it depends on the situation, but an act of service is a way that they feel love. When people go out of the way, whether it's serving food, serving meals, or, taking care of cleaning the house, or any kind of acts of service. And for some people, it depends on the situation. For example, if you're a mom and you got all these small kids and you're exhausted and you're worn out, right? You're probably thinking, I'm not worried about a gift or flowers. I need my husband to come in and just take the kids away and maybe take them somewhere and give them dinner somewhere. I'll take them to their mother-in-law's place, give them dinner and just give me a rest or something, right? So it depends on the situation, but an act of service is obviously, it's for some people, very, very important expression of love.
Important there to notice, I mean, it might be obvious, but I want to point it out. Of course, these are things that can be typically also just chores, things you normally do. It can even be taking out the trash, right? Doing the dishes or whatever, right? Going shopping, like there can be chores. But of course, the difference here, when is it a love language? When is it actually an expression of love? When it's actually done willingly and out of love, consciously, as an expression of love. If it's just, done because it's a chore and you have to, and she's nagging otherwise, or whatever, like, then if it's just your duty, then it's not, then it doesn't count as part of a love language, as a loving act of service. So it has to be done consciously out of love. And then, the person whose love language that will work for them, right? Some examples, how this works for us, like, for example, I love it, like, sometimes when on the weekend we go to the coffee shop, we go for a walk, and Lidl, the supermarket, is just around the corner from the coffee shop, and sometimes sometimes he just comes with me. I said, okay, come on, let's quickly get Lidl out of the way. So we just go in there together, half an hour, run through the shop, right? He does the packing and the whole thing is done in half an hour. And I love it, even though it's on the weekend, which I normally wouldn't take for grocery shopping, but it saves me a whole nother evening and a stressful shopping trip on my own during the week. So I love that. And I really, really appreciate it, right?
Yeah.
Or he makes me a coffee when I'm at work. Another example would be in the line what he was saying, like, if he gives her a break, sometimes maybe from the kids, like, you could, get a takeaway, order a takeaway, just give her a break from the cooking. Talking about cooking, I would love if he was cooking.
Yeah. Would you like for me to cook for you, sweetie?
Yes, but step it up, not just baked beans and fish sticks.
Yeah, see, there's another interesting thing. So we can have expectations in our relationship, and, you could have a discussion and your spouse could come up with a lovely long list of all the things that they would love. But, you've got to make sure that you're kind of on the same page. Like cooking, she'd love for me to be a great chef and to cook up some romantic meal for her and stuff. I can't cook to save my life. I have no interest in it. So I'll take her to a restaurant instead. You know what I mean?
Fish sticks or sausages.
Yeah. But it's very important. Listen, last point in acts of service. Don't take each other for granted. Your wife is cooking dinner, or your husband, whoever's making dinner or doing the chores. Always express appreciation. Thank you very much for, don't just suddenly expect your food on the table, the house cleaned, and all these other things, okay? Without, on occasions, expressing appreciation, acknowledgement, and recognition, okay? So nobody likes to be taken for granted, okay?
Yeah.
Next love language.
And this will be the fifth one and the last one in this. So physical touch.
Yeah, I mean, obviously physical touch, there's the romantic side of physical touch, the physical touching and affection and connection. And then there's obviously with married couples making love, we're not going to get into too much the making love thing, because that's probably a whole lecture by itself. But, expressing your love through physical touch and contact is really, really important in any loving relationship. It really is. Now, I understand there's different cultures. Different people say, well, our family, we're not a really touchy-feely family, so we don't kind of touch and kiss and hold hands and all that kind of stuff. And, maybe other cultures like the Italians are more expressive and connecting. But what I would say to you is this, right? There has to be some form of touch and connection and expression of affection in a relationship. Okay, if you're not super romantic and touchy-feely, that's fine, but you really, it is important. And here's the thing. Your sons and daughters, when your kids grow up, if you have children, and if they're growing up, they're watching the parents and seeing how you interact with each other. And if you don't express affection to each other, your daughter might be thinking, well, that's normal. When I grow up, my husband will not express affection to me because my father never expressed affection to the mother, right? So it's really important. You can't just say, well, our family's not so touchy-feely, so we're not going to be touching, kissing, and any of that. I don't agree with that. You know, the culture of marriage, we're here to restore marriage, and there has to be some form of communication and affection. And we also want to be a source of inspiration and love to each other, but also, our children, they're looking at us as parents. They're the only parents they probably know well, and they're seeing and the expectations. If their parents are connecting and communicating and touching and expressing affection through that, then they will learn from us as parents, and then they will send that on to their children. So physical touch and expression and kissing and all of that is very, very important. First thing in the morning, we kiss each other.
Yep.
Good morning.
Last thing at night as well.
Last thing at night?
Unless.
I mean, the good thing about this thing of kissing each other first thing in the morning, last thing at night, because sometimes I'm sitting down and maybe watching TV and my wife goes to bed early and she doesn't come in and kiss me. And then I'm like, she must be mad at me. So it's a very good tradition. You can figure out where you're at, how good or bad you're doing. When your wife doesn't come in to greet you in the morning and she kisses you in the morning and it's like pierced lips, I got some work to do. Or if she doesn't come in the evening and kiss you goodnight, then I got a bit of digging to do the next day. So there's a lot of benefits to that affection.
Right. And also just a couple other examples, right, on that one. And then, I know we're coming to the end. Just a couple of examples and then we wrap it up. So his love language besides quality time is both ours, but he also likes, his love language is definitely physical touch. Mm-hmm. And he actually loves massages. Like if he gets— Who
doesn't like a good massage?
Have some energy, give him a massage. He loves that, right? And also, like, for example, when you do a date night, when you go out on a date night, right? Like holding hands in public, why not? Doesn't matter any age. Right?
Yeah, especially if you're on a date night. Mm. Okay. You go to a supermarket, you're not going to be walking down the aisle in Lidl holding hands. I got that. I don't either. But if you're on a date night, you definitely should be holding hands.
Or if I'm really stressed and he would give me a hug or embrace me or something, and it's important to me, So I think so that's on that. So just to kind of sum up, so just to remind, so the 5 love languages are, and of course there's variations and there's combinations, and you can feel free to get the book. Sorry about the mirror image, but if you want to delve more into it, obviously I would definitely recommend it. But so there is more details to it, but the broad summary of what we touched on now is the first one is words of affirmation, then quality time, third one is gifts, fourth is acts of service, and physical touch. And there is different variations or different details in them, and most people have more than one anyway. But
most people will have 2 or 3, and some people may have all 5.
Yeah.
But
it is important to, and I would really, and that's what we actually want to challenge you on, to really become aware of, to think about this. What's your own, what's your spouse's? That's what we're going to discuss, what you guys are going to discuss now. But would definitely recommend, it really makes a difference, I think.
All right, guys.
And
that's it. That's it for now.
Wow, fantastic. Can we do a little applause, a little wave? Thank you, guys. That's
You're welcome.
Thank you.
What a talk. I love that.
Thank you.
No, it's great. We've had a lot of speakers, and of course we have many different types of talks, but this is a very tip-oriented, practical talk, which was really good, very refreshing. And what did you say, Alan? Pro tips. You gave us lots of pro tips.
You got a pro tips. You've been married for 30 years. Everyone who's been married for 30, 40 years got a couple of pro tips,
Yeah, pro tips.
You're still married by then.
I'm telling you.
That's
How to
good.
keep out of the doghouse.
Yeah, and then that's awesome. And I love that how you guys are, talk to young couples, couples with young kids, and also couples with older kids. So I think everybody got something there, which is
Good.
awesome.
Well, we've been there, we know.
No, it's great. It's great. And actually, I'm really, really curious. Actually, I mean, I would love to hear just my direct question was just like, how did you guys, because you can see that you guys have obviously reflected a lot. You worked on this a lot. You're very aware of your own love language as well as your spouse's love language. Like, how was that journey for you guys? Was that just through reading the book, or is it just through working on it over many years? Yeah.
We always shared and communicated so much, always. Like the book was just kind of then giving it some names, putting it into a structure. But there was always a central part of our marriage, actually.
We were blessed and married before the book came out, but we read the book maybe 10, 15 years down the line. The book was very good because when we read the book, we were like, yeah, it clarified it for us and identified what we were doing right. And then from that, we could improve on it. And it definitely put it in a sequence. Oh, that's quality time. Like we just thought we just love spending time together, but I actually realized that's actually a love language that is great for everything. So it helped clarify, crystallize things. And in any marriage, every couple out there, we should always be focusing on learning and growing and improving. I mean, that is like we've come a long way and we've still got a long way to go. Trust me, we're not perfect couple and we've still got our issues, and always be growing, always be learning.
Exactly.
Actually, I just see the book actually came out apparently in 1992, which is when we were blessed.
Oh, wow.
However,
I don't think we read it.
We didn't come across it until years later.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, that's an interesting coincidence anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, well, that's great. And actually, I mean, what I was thinking about was you guys were mentioning about how you guys obviously made it a priority even when you had young kids to spend that couple time with each other on the weekends and things like that. I mean, you guys can maybe correct if I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe because you guys set that side of time to spend quality time with each other, that time allowed you to sort of discover to learn and grow about each other and to spend time as a married couple. I don't know.
Hugely important. Hugely important. You know the Hollywood movie thing of the married couples, and you always know them because they're in the restaurant and they're not saying anything to each other. That stereotype, which is not necessarily true. What can happen is you get close to each other when you're really young, and then you get so busy with kids. And kids, we adore our children, right? Well, everybody out there, we all adore our kids, but kids are really mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted. And you can forget about the relationship in that period of time. That is a big, big mistake. You need to put that time aside. So now that we're older and our kids got older, we're used to hanging out with each other and we know each other because we have that foundation through the children. And now we continue on and we go away together for weekends and we have a lot of things to talk about.
But I would really say also it's like, especially as we really, really know how challenging it is when you have young kids. I mean, we had 4 kids in 7 years, right? So I had constantly a couple of kids swinging on me, right? And I was just exhausted. But we were so and to be honest, I have to say, I have to give him the credit because he was really determined. It's very easy to just lose yourself in the mommy and daddy role. And it's actually difficult to recover from that. And actually, you have to say he was really pushing that through, and he was very determined to keep up our Friday night time. I would have sometimes felt like really just exhausted. All I wanted was just sleep. Half the time I would fall asleep, taking the kids to bed, and I was like, and he would help me, right? And I had to actually drag myself out of the kids' room again, half asleep, right? And now, but he would really help me. So, or sometimes I would feel guilty. Sometimes the kids, would be like, they wanted me to stay in the kids' room, right? And then, but he was really pushing this through. He was really serious about it, right? Like for us to have our time. And I did not always feel like it, to be honest, right? But he really pushed it through, and it was the right thing to do. And I'm really grateful. We're still husband and wife. We're not just mommy and daddy for eternity, So
no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And actually, I was reflecting about it as well. I mean, for Em and I as well, that's, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just reflecting about it because you guys are mentioning. I'm happy that it's a good to know that it's so good. But we've always made it a priority, and I do actually recommend that to other couples as well, always to set aside time. And also, actually, I mean, now my brothers and sisters are having young kids, and I'm telling them already, like, you need to, have a Friday night. You need to set aside, get babysitting as soon as you can, because you have to do that for your relationship. So actually, Friday night is Emma and mine night. Actually, saying that, we're going through quite a stressful period, and we were, affected by the flood. We're going on holiday soon. Kids have just come out of school. We got 3 young kids. They don't always sleep through the night, so it is very difficult. Anyway, right now we're going through like, we haven't actually been able to do it, but we normally do it every Friday. Order in, watch. We'll just watch something. We do.
Yeah.
As well.
That's good.
So I do say that, and I think that's probably what comes out of all of this. Like, you can, I suppose, learn about your spouse's other love languages, but maybe only through the quality time. You need to spend time together.
Absolutely, yes.
Otherwise,
yes.
I mean, if you spend 20 years, if you use, so think about it, if you spend 20 years, if you have a bunch of kids, right, you're 20 years easily in the, depends if, with the different age gaps and everything like this, right? But then you're 20 years and all you're used to is being a mommy and a daddy. You lose yourself. Lose yourself.
Yeah, and you guys said it. You talked about identity, and I really like that, because you said, like, when you with your kids, you're mommy and daddy. That's your identity. So
yes.
You're not husband wife, and you can only be husband wife properly when you're alone. And I think that's
correct.
That's what I would like to highlight, that, because I think that's the key. Because then,
Agreed.
things are different, and you can actually focus 100% on the other person. You can have meaningful conversations. You can actually find out what's going on with the other person in their life. So yeah, sometimes we get so busy. Like, Em and I haven't really talked to each other. Actually, today I took her out. Actually, I will mention it because normally it doesn't happen. But we've just had our 10-year anniversary, and
congrats!
Congratulations!
We hadn't really had a chance to do anything, and I was like, we need to. And it's just like, there's so much stress and all this kind of thing. So I was like, okay, anyway, I'm just gonna do something. So I took her out. I booked we went for a horse ride today, which is we've never even done something like that.
I love that.
Very good.
And that was just kind of a bit of a
quality time.
Quality time, that. Yeah, just a refresh. I mean,
that's a great idea.
That's a top tip for other guys. It was
make a note.
It was a good success. Riding. It's a great success. So like I said, but that's I haven't done something like that for ages. But I think sometimes even if you can just take initiative or think about something you can do for you as a couple, actually, I think that's probably the key.
I think also remember, like I as a mom, I think maybe more so, like I would have been very prone to feeling guilty, taking time out for me, for us, and at the cost of the kids, as it seemed, right? I would have been very prone to that. But when you think about it, it's like the reason why it's almost like a duty to actually prioritize that relationship, because how many, if people lose their relationship, right, then how many broken marriages are out there? What good does that do? What good does that do to the children, right? It's important. It's really important that the children grow up with 2 parents, and if they know and they see mommy and daddy love each other, and they're still together, and their relationship goes strong and grows. The kids, it's important for the kids. It's like almost you can almost look at it as like a duty, like a responsibility, because isn't that what we're here to restore marriage and family? If you talk family values, this is such an important. This is not just like for my own personal enjoyment or for my selfish enjoyment. This is almost like our responsibility,
Absolutely, 100%. So I think that's a good line into the group. Should we go into the group questions maybe? People have a chance to discuss just that. So should we? Let's put the discussion questions up. So I'll just go through the first one. So obviously, first one, it's just to introduce yourself, to the other people, and when you were blessed, how many, if you have kids, that kind of thing. And then maybe Alan and Doris can go over from point number 2 there.
Point number 2, what do you believe are your partner's 2 love languages? So I suppose the question is, just checking your awareness to see if you can know what your 2 partner's love languages are.
And the third one would be, what are your own two top love languages and why? So first of all, think about your partner and then become also aware of yourself. What's your own top two languages?
Next one, what love language would be a challenge for you to give? Because again, like I say, for myself, it's gifts. Sometimes all the love language, sometimes we have challenges with that. So it's really important. What love language would be a challenge for you to give?
And then the fifth question would be, now I know this is a lot, and there is a possibility you may not get through everything in the groups.
Yeah,
but
we usually, there's usually no
right?
pressure to do all the questions. We usually people can sort of pick and choose and see how the good discussion groups go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fifth one, if you get to that, would be, that's kind of a tricky one also, it's a good one. How can you be more receptive to your partner's love? Like some people actually block out the love or feel guilty about receiving it and things like this. There's also aspects like that possibly to consider.
Mm-hmm. And then number 6 is share some ideas on how you would fulfill your partner's love language. So obviously there's a lot of creative ways of expressing love, and then see if you can come up with some different ideas.
Fantastic. Great. So I think, we're just gonna have a quick, 5-minute break. If people need to go to the toilet, grab a drink, kiss your spouse, whatever you need to do. And then we'll see you back in 5 minutes. And then I'll give some quick pointers for the groups before we go into them. Okay, see you guys back in 5 minutes. Thanks again. Welcome back, everybody. I missed the countdown, so I was mid-sentence, but it's all good. Alan and Doris, are you with me? Oh, you can unmute yourself then. Fantastic. Yes.
Yours okay? Yeah.
Yes. I hope everybody had a good time in the discussions. It's always lovely to see the energy in the camera footage when everybody comes back, kind of buzzing. There will be an opportunity to go back into the groups. I'm going to say it right now. Yes, actually, I was just about to say in my group that it's sort of, I was going to sort of round off the group and just say that this kind of love language thing and the differences in love language seems to be sort of the epitome of marriage, or like to grapple with the differences in love languages. And we just talked about this whole thing about appreciating if our spouse does something in their love language, to appreciate that. And I think we're all sort of struggling. We're all sort of struggling with that concept. and that's going to take a few more years, but maybe, but that was kind of an interesting twist just at the end. So I was kind of, and that's what we said sort of also about your couples, where you've been, that you can see that you guys are you have continued to work with that and grapple with that and try to continue or to find the right balance in the relationship.
Absolutely.
So that's great. So I so there was some maybe we can just take a couple of, there was actually one question that I wanted to ask which had actually had come as you were speaking earlier, which I thought we could just cover quickly. And that was because you covered when it came to sort of the challenges when you have young kids about investing in your marriage, and also obviously you talked about the fact obviously when later on there's like I guess more time for your relationship, but sort of the in-between age. I mean, I guess your kids are sort of getting out of that, but I guess sort of the teenage. There was a question about sort of how to handle sort of the teenage years and that maybe prioritize your marriage. Or I don't know if you had any tips for that era, or I guess coming out of it.
I mean, when the kids get older, I mean, when you start moving towards the teenage years, it's not as physically consuming. I always find small children are physically, mentally, and emotionally more time consuming. I mean, I don't know, like our 3 oldest are 3 boys. Okay. So typically most older teenage boys start getting into computer games. So they're in their room in computer games. And it's probably, if we had more time, we would have more time for our relationship as the kids got into teenage years, as opposed to when they were small.
It definitely gets, because they don't need to be babysitted anymore. The main struggle is, and as a matter of fact, when they're in their teenage years, they don't even want to do stuff with mommy and daddy, right? Like, but it's actually good for them to see also, like, if you're doing things right, that shouldn't be so hard. Like, I think it's important for them at that stage to also to see that. And yeah, that was our experience too. That's the age where they don't want to have to do anything with us, right? And they're just doing their thing. They don't need to be babysitted. I found the greatest challenge is really like when they're young, when they need to be minded all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you're tired, sleepless nights, breastfeeding, like, you know, vomit on you and all that, you know, don't even feel like dressing up or anything like this, right? You know,
it's a tough time.
Yeah. It's hard to make yourself feel nice and get in the mood to kind of go out or something like this, you know, when you're just dealing with dirty diapers and all this stuff, right? The teenage years was easy. Now it's actually what's happening now was very interesting, because now we're kind of already coming out the other end. You know, they're interested now again also to do things together with us, right? And we can spend more quality time together occasionally, or just the two of us, whichever.
Exactly. And I guess no, that answers the question. Fantastic. So let me just see. Was there let me see if there was any other questions that came out. If you have any other final questions, you can write them in the chat. Otherwise, I think we can move towards sort of the end finale. Yeah, I guess we can end with that question. Okay, I got one more question here. Okay, so how can you get your partner to also invest in your marriage? Is the question. It's a pretty good question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, depending on what the situation is. Obviously, the first thing I'd like to say is having a good marriage, it's really important. It takes two people to invest in the relationship, you know, and even as many couples out there know, when you have two people who are investing in the relationship with that mindset, you still have challenges. Okay. But it's a very valid question. What if one person really wants to spend that time and really wants to engage and the other one isn't? Then, it really depends on the situation. You'd have to be honest, you'd have to explore a little more deeply to find out what's going on in the relationship. And obviously there's a disengagement from one person and then understanding on a deeper level. So the first thing I would say is try to understand from the other person's perspective. Of course, you can feel angry or frustrated or about the other person not being engaged, which is completely understandable. But just expressing those feelings probably won't resolve it. But maybe try to figure out underlying issue. Why is the other person disengaged from their perspective? And if they feel that you're trying to reach out to them from their perspective and you're concerned about them and you're not just thinking, hey, why don't you focus on me, then you may get a little more traction.
In fact, like, I think the thing to do is like the instinct would be just to nag and get upset and angry and resentful, feel lack of love and complain and all that. But it's actually, which, you know, we all feel that's natural, right? But it's actually the worst thing to do to get what you want. I would actually say, like, at least try to figure out then your spouse's love language. And first of all, try for a week or two to love him in his language unconditionally and see what that does. You know, he might actually feel like, oh, okay. The thing is, like, if you nag, even if he does stuff for you because you're so nagging and so unhappy, it won't even work. Like, it won't be an act of love, and you won't even perceive it as an act of love. And that's the tragedy of it, right? So I would actually suggest try to figure out that spouse's love language, really, not just like if two people are stuck, maybe then it's very easy you love your spouse in your own love language, and that's the whole point, right? So that's not going to work. Then he doesn't feel love. Try to figure out what is his love language,
or hers.
Set yourself a challenge. Why don't you set yourself a challenge for 1 week or for 2 weeks or something? Every day or every other day, you do some little thing in his love language and see what happens. Could try. It's worth a try. I know the nagging does not work. Trust me. Try it.
Oh, that's good. No, I think that's great. And I think, we are going to get some other tip or like homework to do. But obviously, if you haven't figured out your husband and wife's love language, I think that would be point too. And I think that's a great challenge as well. And I think anybody can, anybody can commit to anything for 1 week. So I think it's a very reasonable challenge for all of us to try it out. And yeah, or depending on, and especially if you have, one party being unengaged as well, then if you have maybe a little bit more communication in your relationship, I mean, for me, this evening has already been very enriching, and there's the exploring will continue.
Right.
Yeah.
Happy to hear that.
Yes. So yeah, fantastic. So actually, should we go into that end? Yeah, you guys had some additional sort of homework, or something. Not homework. I don't like the word homework, but some other kind of thing, right? Assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the assignment is plan 3 activities each that fulfill your partner's love language. There you go. Plan 3 activities each that fulfill your partner's love language. And just really put it into practice and start from there. Obviously, that's a basis for cultivating it.
And if you want, you can make it a longer challenge.
Well, you should really. I mean, it's essential. To be honest, marriage and love can't live without it.
Lifelong journey. We're still very much on the way. So
always working on it. Always.
Exactly. And I like that assignment as well. So I actually, just to delve into that a little bit more, I mean, so obviously, and I just got the idea from what you guys just say, but I mean, if you do plan activity together as a couple, and then if you both have become aware of each other's love language, talking about how you can incorporate your love language in the activities, I think will be meaningful in itself. Like that conversation with your spouse would be quite meaningful in understanding what would make them feel loved on the day, or if you have this quality time together. And to plan an evening or plan activities around your love languages sounds like a next level way of planning anything.
Yeah.
Especially for your relationship. And then of course, if you can find a way to fulfill both partners for the evening, that's an ultimate evening. But actually, in my group, we were talking about the fact that maybe sometimes you have to sort of maybe, this could be like, plan 3. Actually, it says each here, so it could be one evening for one of you,
or maybe you both enjoy the same thing. Exactly. Even better. Yeah.
So awareness, that's why awareness is really important, right? To be aware of, it takes many times a lot of reflection, even for yourself, first of all, right? And sharing to become aware. We're not all the same.
Exactly. Fantastic. Wow. So I think we're coming towards the end. It's been a lovely evening, and thanks once again, Alan, Doris. Fantastic. We'd love to have you back at a future event. And
we'd love to.
If people want to sort of get in contact with you guys, would that be something we are like through email?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fantastic. We will put the email in the kind of the feedback form that goes out after this talk.
Very good. Yeah.
And if you wanted to reach out, ask any further questions maybe, or ask for any further pro tips.
Yeah.
They'll be available. Fantastic. So thank you once again. Maybe everybody can give a wave or a thank you to our speakers this evening.
Okay, everybody.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you,
we loved it also.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great. So I hope everybody enjoyed the evening. I sure did. And so we're going to have, we're coming into a little bit of a summer break. August is usually the holiday month for most people. And so we won't be, unfortunately, having a MMM event in August. Our next event will be in September. And we will let you know, we'll sort of announce the speaker and send out our promo video in time. But if there's any sort of last minute kind of updates, I think I mentioned it earlier a little bit, but of course there's lots of useful links on the BFD website. Also, I think I mentioned earlier as well about reaching out to a counselor. Also, Patricia and myself are around if you just want to have somebody to speak to see if we can help and support, and also to connect you in the right way. And we've had people reach out to us in the past. And yes, so before we obviously there will be an opportunity now to go back into the discussion groups, and just to close the evening, if Alan could just say the closing prayer, and then you can then, yeah, actually there'll be before the group starts, there'll be a 2-minute sort of reflection time, again, a little short break, but it's just 2 minutes, and then the groups will start again if you want to rejoin them. Okay, so Alan, over to you. Oh, sorry. You need to unmute yourself, Alan. Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
Wonderful. Dearest Heavenly Parent, we're really grateful for this opportunity to come together and to really share and to engage. I mean, marriage is such an essential linchpin of the whole providence. I mean, from marriage, we build strong families. From strong families, we build communities and nations. And it's really, we know that it's something that returns great joy to you when you see us as couples, you know, working on our relationships, looking upon the opportunity, the challenges in our relationships as opportunities to overcome. And we really pray that you can continue to give us guidance, to give us inspiration, that there's always going to be other people out there to help and assist us in this, you know, relationship, because sometimes we get stuck by ourselves. And we're really grateful for making the most of marriage community and all of what they're doing and everyone who participates. And it really makes this whole process so meaningful. So I'd like to offer this now, in the name of Alan and Doris McCann of the Central Blessed Family. Adieu.
Adieu. Fantastic. Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice discussion group for the people that are going to discussions. Don't be, some people need to go, but thanks again for coming, and all the best, everybody. God bless.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.